Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin, and on this channel I upload all sorts of videos revolving around true crime, education and psychology related topics. And welcome back to the final instalment of True Crime Week. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week, have enjoyed all the content and enjoyed learning about potentially new cases. If you haven't already watched all of the videos I uploaded this week, I uploaded a video every day discussing a different true crime case, so definitely go back and watch all those. And if you would like me to do another sort of True Crime Week at some point in the future, then definitely let me know. It takes a lot of prep and a lot of planning, but if you guys enjoy it, then I can definitely do it again. For today's video, we're going to be discussing the disappearance of a 4-year-old boy named Michael DUNAHEE in Canada. It is genuinely a heartbreaking case. I mean, all of the cases that I cover that are unsolved are genuinely heartbreaking, but it's always tough hearing about these cases of such young children going missing and their family having no indication of what could have happened to them. So if you'd like to know more about this case, then keep on watching. But before we get started, I'm just going to zoom through my usual disclaimer that I like to include at the start of all my videos, just letting you guys know that I'm not claiming to be an expert in this case or any of the other cases that I cover over on my channel. I'm simply relaying the information I'm able to find myself through research of certain sources on the internet, and because only certain sources are accessible to me, it means I may get things wrong, leave things out or mispronounce things, and I apologise if I do any of those things. I'm not trying to cause anyone any harm or an injustice. I'm simply working with the information that I have available to me. So with all that being said, we shall just get started discussing the case of Michael DUNAHEE. Michael Wayne DUNAHEE was born on May the 12th, 1986 in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada. Michael's disappearance occurred when he was just 4 years old in 1991, and to this day, almost 30 years later, his family are still searching for answers. On Sunday the 24th of March 1991, 4-year-old Michael was playing in a school playground in Victoria, British Columbia. Both his mother and father had been in the area at the time, with his mother playing in a field adjoining to the playground, and his father sat watching everyone play to the side of the field. Michael's mother, a woman named Crystal, had been a part of a football practice with a number of local women at the Blanchard Elementary School field, and Michael and his father had joined to go and watch her practice. And just before the practice had started, Michael had asked his mother if he could go to the playground just meters away from where she was playing on that field, and his mother had agreed to let him play on the playground because he was in eyesight. She'd walked him to the playground and told him that he was not to leave there until his father had come to collect him, which would just be very shortly. On that day, Michael had been wearing a white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles t-shirt with a blue hooded jacket on top, a pair of multicoloured rugby pants, and blue canvas shoes with red and orange trim. He had bright blue eyes and straight blonde hair, and the circumstances surrounding his disappearance are extremely concerning. It seems that no one at all had seen him just disappear. He was last seen at around midday on March the 24th when his father, Bruce, had headed to the playground to walk him back to the field. But when he'd gotten there, he'd realised there was no sign of his son. And immediately the panic had started to set in, and all of the 50-odd people that were there watching the practice or taking part in the practice had begun to frantically search for Michael all around the nearby area. And all of those people there that day, and it being such a small area, it's just so concerning that no one had seen any sign of the young boy. He'd literally just seemed to vanish. Michael's parents had immediately notified the police, and a huge search was conducted immediately in the hunt for the little boy. It was one of the largest searches and police investigations in Canadian history at that point, and thousands of people had sent in tips relating to the disappearance of the boy, and at the time it seemed as though everyone wanted to return the boy to his parents. There was a $100,000 reward placed for anyone to be able to provide any details leading to the discovery of Michael DUNAHEE, but despite this and there being thousands of tips being sent in, police could find no one relating to his disappearance. As I'm sure you can imagine, because of the nature in which Michael disappeared and the fact that it had occurred in a public place, investigators had virtually instantly listed the case as an abduction and not just a missing child. In hindsight, many people have pointed out that if this case had occurred at a time in which there were more sort of technological aids available like CCTV footage and advanced DNA testing, it may have been possible to narrow down important leads quicker. But sadly, as is the case in the majority of child abduction cases, time is a hugely important factor, and if there is no information to act on very early on, it becomes harder as time passes. The search for Michael really did become far-reaching, and investigators had started sifting through all known sex offenders in the area and interviewing anyone who may have been even remotely near the area at that time. They followed up on tips constantly, even though they continually led to nowhere, and they had only managed to narrow down pieces of descriptions based based on potential witness statements. They had been informed that they were potentially looking for a man in his late 40s or 50s with a brown van, as someone had allegedly sighted this van and this man near the playground on the day of Michael's disappearance. They had acted on this sighting further by attempting to recreate the scene of the disappearance in the elementary school playground with a brown van parked where it was believed to have been seen, but sadly this recreation did not lead to any new developments. Despite there being so many tips sent in relating to the boy's disappearance, there had been no updates in the search for Michael for some years. In 2006, authorities had received reports claiming to have sighted a young man that looked uncannily like Michael in the region of British Columbia interior. He'd allegedly been living there since some point in the 1990s, and police followed up on these claims, but sadly when they tracked down this young boy and collected some DNA samples, they were able to confirm that it was not Michael Dunahee. The next potential break in the case occurred in 2009 when police in Milwaukee in Wisconsin searched the home of a 62-year-old man named Vernon Seitz. Vernon Seitz had previously told his psychiatrist that he'd carried out the murder of a child in 1959 and that he also had knowledge of another unspecified murder of a child. While searching his home, police had discovered a missing persons poster of Michael Dunahee, and it led people to speculate whether this had been the case that he was allegedly referring to. Vernon Seitz was found at a later point deceased, and it was determined that he had died of natural causes, but because of this it meant that they could never get to the bottom of these claims of him having knowledge of this child killing and any potential links. And a few years later, in 2011, investigating authorities received reports of a man in Chase in British Columbia that appeared to look just like Michael, but once again this was ruled out thanks to DNA testing. I believe there was another potential identification of Michael in 2013 when a man in Surrey in British Columbia was requested to supply authorities with a DNA sample, but this too was ultimately ruled out. According to the Doe Network page dedicated to Michael's disappearance, there were alleged sightings at some point in the investigation of Michael being seen in areas including southern New Jersey, Pennsylvania and Delaware. There was also allegedly a sighting that the boy had been seen by someone walking alongside a black male who had been around 5'10" tall with a pock-marked face. Following this sighting, there had been reports of a man fitting this description as having attempted to abduct a 7-year-old girl in Berlin Borough in New Jersey just a few months after the disappearance of Michael. Following the incident, the young girl and another person in the area had stated that there had been a young blonde boy in the back of the car of the perpetrator, and although these claims appear to be important in relation to Michael's case, authorities were never able to confirm whether or not these could be solidly linked to the disappearance. And to this day, nearly 30 years later, the search for Michael continues. Michael Dunahee would now be in his early 30s and his family still search for their lost son. And I hope by making this video I am doing my part in sort of sharing his name and his face all these years later. I will have an e-foot photo of what he would potentially look like, as obviously it has been some years since he disappeared and he would likely look very, very different from how he did when he first went missing at 4 years old. So I'll have a photograph on the screen of the projected age image of what he potentially looks like as an adult. But yes, that is where I'm going to end today's video. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched all of my videos this week. I hope you have enjoyed having so much content from me, and like I said at the start, let me know if you do want me to do another one of these maybe in a month or so. Just let me know down below, and I will be back to my usual upload schedule this coming week. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this interesting, and I will see you guys very soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.